Peace to the world. Welcome back.
What's going on, world?
This is
Good to
Think,
see you.
this is Think Muzic Podcast, and we are back. Episode number 26. You got the hypnosis checking in.
Oh, we got somebody in already?
Nah, well, yeah,
Oh,
but I was,
oh,
I
okay.
was,
Oh, we do. Flex.
yeah, I was talking about myself. I was a normal.
Oh, my fault.
Yeah, but so what's good brother? Dap Dunlap.
Finishing up this kitchen and
Peace, wise feminine.
piecewise feminine. Finishing up this kitchen and getting ready to head to the house. Excited for this good build. And you know, week was a good week. Got back in the gym. I didn't go today because I had to do some stuff with my mom, but I'm gonna hit it in the morning before we go to Brianna's niece's birthday party.
Mhm.
So try to get up real early, hit the gym, clean my car, and then get ready and go to the birthday party and hang out over there for a while.
Mhm.
So but week was strong. Uh and I just constantly getting downloads and different ideas and things like that to, you know, implement. Had a good conversation with both my sons separately. Talked to my middle son for like 2 hours yesterday. While I was cleaning, that was good. He's in a good place. He's starting to he's starting to step into the information, and he was asking me some stuff about the Anunnaki and all of that. So, um, and then my oldest son talked to him. I think Tuesday we talked for about 2 hours also, and just talked about movies and how you can juxtapose it to society and all of that type stuff. So it was a strong week, man. Family's doing well, mom is doing well. So, for the most part, everything is everything except, you know, what we're gonna talk about. That was the only downer. But, outside of that, strong week.
It's good. It's good. Yeah, yeah. It's been a very busy but productive week for us. Um, got some things lined up. Like got my website finalized. It's up and it's live. Um, so that was a relief.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. Um, but y'all, if we got time before we wrap up, I'll talk about that a little bit. But trying to get my
Hey, just do a quick filibuster real quick while I just finish this floor, and then I'm done.
okay. Well, first of all, can everybody hear me? How my sound? Because I know my sound been a struggle here past two or three shows. I'm trying to. Can y'all hear me out there? Is it clear? Volume and all of that? Okay, good, good. Appreciate that, wise feminine. Flex says way better. All right, all right. I'm glad I went back and listened to about 5 minutes. I was like, damn, I sound like the crypt keeper. Yes, beloved. In your time of mourning. Yes, yes, yes. We have flowers here for the family, and amen. Yes, yes. Deacon Douglas here is going to drive the limousine over to the cemetery. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, okay. Flex said it was good too. Okay, yeah. Um. Well, since I'm filibustering, let's do this. Why don't I do this? Let me go and show the early attendees what's going on here. I want y'all to check out the new 720 astrology.com. Show y'all what it looked like. See? Okay. Damn. Huh. No, select. No. Let me stop sharing. Let me try this again. See if I can show this your screen. I'm gonna move this over here to this screen, and we're gonna try it.
Hello, how y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Come on in.
Thank you for having us today.
Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my.
So this is 720astrology.com. Video on the home page, introducing you to the site. This takes you to the readings. Oh.
Oh shit.
That goes, readings. You go back to the home, then got all these buttons are live down here. Got a blog. I wanna encourage everybody to go to the blog button, the blog page, and sign up to get my free blog. Go right here, click here, put in your information, and I'll send you a notification every time I drop a new one. But here's the current blog that's up here. Why astrology is more important now than ever before. I think y'all will enjoy this. It's a good read. But yeah, that's pretty much it. About page. Let's give a little background on myself. But I think it's a cool site. Go and check it out, and sign up so you can get on my email list. You can stay tuned, stay in touch, and building these private email lists allows for communication that is outside of mass broadcast. Um, you know, everything, some things are better kept a little more private. So 720astrology.com, go check it out. It'll be in the description. And I'm gonna start a new channel, YouTube channel coming up soon, and it'll be primarily focused around astrology and etymology and kind of what I do on this channel, but it's going to be more focused on astrology and with etymology and mythology and stuff sprinkled in to help support and explain the astrology, fitness, nutrition, all of that, because it's going to show how all these things tie in. So that'll be coming soon. But I don't want to bore y'all to death. I don't know that. How you looking?
Okay, can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. You still there?
Yo,
Yeah.
you can hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you ready to roll?
Yeah. So, on wow, I'm trying to think. I think it was Sunday. I get a call from my dad that my uncle passed away. His youngest brother. And just before we get into it, man, my uncle was probably the first guy that I looked up to growing up in Michigan. And he was the youngest. He was a hustler. He had all the fly fashion at the time, nanny goats and Sherlins and patent leather Adidas and name buckles and like everything. He was, as my cousin put on Facebook when he wrote about him, he was like paid in full before paid in full for us. And he had a group of friends, probably about 8 guys. They were all getting money, say like 85, 86. And we had a good relationship. The times I would go back and forth, times I would go to Michigan and live, we always had a good rapport. He was really good in basketball. He was ambidextrous. He could shoot with both hands. And it was crazy. I remember one time he was watching me play ball and he was like, "You can hoop, you're good," but he said you need to add the fade to your game. You need a post game. Because as he was watching me, I was just like taking the guy off the dribble, going to the hole, and just pulling up jump shots. And he was like, you need to add a fade to your game. So he showed me, he got the ball and went in the post and showed me how to fade. And because he was ambidextrous, he could fade going left and well, you could do it going left and right, but he could do it. He could fade left and shoot left, then fade right and shoot right. So he had an unorthodox game, but he could hoop. So he showed me that, and he was just he was just a good guy. You know what I mean? He had some, he dealt with some struggles. I'm not gonna get into what his struggles were, but he dealt with some struggles, and he succumbed from something, dealing with that. They still waiting for the autopsy to find out for sure. But he passed away, I believe it was on Sunday. And you know, he was a good guy. I mean, like he would get paid and like wake me and my cousin up at like 7 in the morning, go bust his check, like go cash his check at the corner store, and like buy a pint, like buy a pint of liquor and some brews, and we was like drinking like 8 in the morning, bro. Like go back, blow something. Like we was dumb young. We had to be like 18, 19, maybe 20 or something like that. Like it was crazy. And but he he, he was a good dude, man. You know what I'm saying? He was a good dude. But so the next day I go and I go to the gym, and I sign in for the massage chair. And as I'm looking at the paper to sign my name, I see his name. Now my uncle name is his name is Charles Mans, but his nickname was Chuck, and it's Manns. So when I look at the paper, I see Chuck Mann, Mann. So I'm like, that's wild. I'm like, damn, my uncle just passed away. Did I see this name? So I go to the gym yesterday, same thing. Go sign in for the chair. This name is ahead of me again. So I'm like, yo, what does this mean? This means something. Like the simple thing was like, my uncle saying something to me like, hey, or whatever, right? It was like, but I felt it was something deeper. I just didn't know what it was. So I called Jamal and told him about it. And then he proceeded to give me a ton of information just off the top of his head, you know, in that moment about, you know, what Charles mean, a little bit of what Charles mean. And that was that, man. It was just like, you know, it means something. And Jamal's gonna get into, you know, when he get into his breakdown about what the name mean. But I was like what you told me when I was at the gym was just like profound, to be honest with you. And you know, I was grateful for that. But
No doubt.
yeah, man, that's it.
Um, yeah. So like Deb said, I was at the gym when he called me. I was doing cardio, and I was like, well, this will get me through this 20 minutes pretty quick. Because we was pushed for time. So we're gonna do 20 minutes of cardio today, real quick. And yeah, so I was just going off the top of my head. So for one, I want to say this, that based on the title of this, the title was inspired by the question of basically, is it possible this means something? What might it mean? And I've given myself some titles in the past: forensic etymologist, and then, but talking to him, it just kind of congealed for me something that I already kind of do, like in readings and things, but this was kind of different. And it was just like etymological divination. And that's the inspiration for the title: etymological and astrological divination. Now, one thing I want to make known about the importance of etymology is revealed by doing the etymology of the word etymology. The root etymon means essence. essence refers to fire. Now, astrology, the root is astro. Astro means star. It also means light. And it also means fire. And to me, my knowledge and pursuit of etymology is just as important when doing astrology as the astrology is, or it's close. Meaning, like, when I read for somebody, I typically incorporate some type of etymology in there, because based on the etymology of the two sciences, there's some kinship. It's fire. And I wanted to just lay that out there as an opening volley into the conversation. And so this ain't going to be long. But basically, the first thing we got into was Dap's uncle's last name, Mans. And so the word man comes from the root men, men. And that refers to the mind. Okay? As far as the Indo-European origin. Man comes from men, means mind, to have one's mind aroused. Interestingly enough, when you take the character of Adam out of the Abrahamic mythologies, the name Adam means man. It also means ruddy. And ruddy refers to the color red. Red refers to iron. Iron refers to Aries, Mars. In astrology, this is the first house, the house of identity. And I thought that was significant because here is Dap's uncle who transitioned, and I felt immediately showed up in a capacity to get his attention, because he would be the one who, first of all, would pay attention, and two, would have the wherewithal to question why and what is the message. And so, getting back to Adam, Adam coincides with Aries, but Aries is the seed because it's the identity, it's the seed that is differentiated from the other seeds. It is itself is planted, so it develops an identity. Now, when we get done walking through this, it's gonna all tie in, because before the first house is the 12th house. And when we get to the 12th house, it's going to show that this, in my humble opinion, was a definite message and a channel coming through to Dap regarding his uncle and possibly his uncle's purpose. So when I was able to get back home, I was able to look up the name Charles. And Charles comes from the root G-E-R, ger. And from ger, we get the word gero. Okay? And that's what that root traces back. I want to read it. It says, to ripen, grow old, correlated words that are associated: grain, seed, uh, granule, granulated, pomegranate, granite, uh, also corn. Now, all of these are significant, especially corn. And if you know anything about the whole Cometian / Egyptian pantheon, that Osiris is a corn deity. Okay. So, but, and what's the story of Osiris? Osiris is, you know the story. He's killed by his brother and he's resurrected, and through his resurrection, Horus is born. So keep that in mind. Again, and grain, seed, Aries, first house. The seed is planted. Ties into Adam because Adam is the first seed. All right. So, but to take this a step further and to incorporate the astrology, I looked at where was the moon at the time of Brother Chuck's transition. And the moon was in Sagittarius. And I want to show y'all something. If you're studying astrology, I'm going to give you a little secret. You study agriculture. Get you this little book right here is 38 pages. Okay? Came out in the 1920s. It's planning, harvesting, and surgical operations according to the signs of the zodiac. So check this out. First, I want to read this. Every man that tills the soil is at work in God's laboratory. He is to bring together all of the opportunities, the seed, the proper state of the soil, and at the opportune moment, place them for the Creator's law to begin the operation. The chemist will produce ice in a red-hot crucible and place it before you, but ignorance cannot do this or 1,000 other scientific things. The common ignorant laborer can make mortar, but much of it is ruined in the process. I think that's very interesting. Really grabbed me in the book. So, piece highlight 2300. And so the moon was in Sagittarius at the time of transition. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. And he says here that the first half of the sign is productive. The last half is not. So rather an indifferent sign. And what he's talking about is planting. Okay. This book is partly dealing with agriculture. So he says, Leo, Gemini, and Virgo are the best in the order given for destroying noxious growths. I want to read this again. Leo, Gemini, and Virgo are the best in the order given for destroying noxious growths when occupied by the moon. So is Sagittarius and Aquarius and the old of the moon, as they readily are destroyed at these times. So what he's saying is weeds, chaff, other things that would choke out the growth, the successful growth of a crop that during these sign placements of the moon, it's best to remove them. Okay? What I'm building to is not to suggest that Dap's uncle was the noxious growth. What I'm building to is that sometimes our people act as a sacrifice for us. Because every time a seed is planted, that's a sacrifice. The seed is sacrificed because it is put into a grave. It goes under earth, underground, into the underworld. It's sacrificed. In our bodies, the sacrifice is the sacrum of at the bottom of the spine that attaches to the pelvic girdle. From the word sacrum, we also get sanctuary. And so the true sanctuary is the pelvic area, which is attaches to the hips. That's the sanctuary. That is the place of sacrifice. It is the gate into the underworld. Dap's uncle transitions with the moon in Sagittarius. Okay. One more thing I want to read too. He writes in here about fertilizer. Before leaving this subject, I wish to impress upon the minds of all with sufficient emphasis to have it remembered that the very best time to plant is when the moon is in a good sign and the moon and that sign are rising. The first part of that time is better than the latter part, and the first day the moon is in a good sign is better than the second day, and the second better than the third. If you knew the importance of this as I know it, you would leave no stone unturned in being ready to put in your seed at the selected time. Okay. I'm building towards something here. When Dad walks into the gym, he's attempting to get into a massage chair. Okay. The gym that he's at is called Planet Fitness. We must pay attention to all details around us. North Node is in Gemini. It says, pay attention, ask questions, look at everything around you. What's close to you? What's close to you are giving you the long range answers. And Gemini just happens to be the reflection of Sagittarius. So let's not overlook the fact, using our Gemini, North Node and Gemini encouragement. Let's not overlook the fact that the whole saga goes down inside of a place called Planet Fitness. And we've been hearing for years that the earth is going through a quickening. And this quickening is part of the planet becoming fit. Okay? The word fit means to join. To join means to mend. To mend means to heal. Planet fitness, planet healing. Okay? And so many of us have great purpose and are here at this time for part of our purpose is to help with the quickening and to be helped in the quickening. Okay. And so he goes in to sit into a chair that's supposed to provide a measure of comfort. Now, we did a show a couple shows back about the mercy seat. The massage chair is the equivalent of the mercy seat, because it says, okay, you're living in stressful times, stressful surroundings. You know, you got things you're carrying on your shoulders, burdens, whatever. Well, here's some mercy for you. This chair is going to provide some relaxation, some comfort. And the person before him is Chuck Mann, which means I have gone before you to prepare a way for you to do what you're supposed to be doing. Okay? Now, Dap, do you mind me sharing what you said, the areas, you know, what you felt like? It's like, oh, I need to, it's like saying in these areas of life to keep on staying on my path.
Sure. Yeah, you can share it.
Okay. He said, I feel like it's like a reminder to continue to mature, and I'm paraphrasing, focus on family and relationship. Okay. Remember, I said the moon was in Sagittarius when his uncle transitioned. So what did I do? I go and look at where is Sagittarius in Dap's chart. It is in the 12th house. The house of that's naturally ruled by Pisces, which is the last sign in the zodiac, which would coincide with death, the end of the cycle. Okay?
Yeah.
And so when you look at a person's house, whenever you're reading as far as the birth chart or transit chart or whatever, whenever you're looking at a house, you want to look at where is the dispositor of the house. Despot means ruler. And so the despot of Sagittarius is Jupiter. And his Jupiter in his chart is in the 4th house. And the 4th house is the house of home and family. What he mentioned in his text. Jupiter is forming a harsh aspect, a square, with Saturn in his 7th house, which is the house of relationship.
Ooh.
So what he said in his chart, I tell people all the time when we're in readings, I say people speak their chart, you know, because it lets you know, shit's real. And so he spoke, he said family and relationship. And you look at Sagittarius, Jupiter rules it. Jupiter's in Aries in the 4th house, squaring Saturn in the 7th. And so I putting it all together, it is, hey man, I went before you because you have an opportunity to change the karma of this family. Many times, many of us, and I just told a young lady this yesterday, I told her she was the Christ figure in her family.
Heavy.
I said, your chart says that it's you. And for many of us who are here at this time, we are those figures in our family. That's not to be egotistical. It's not to show up at the next Thanksgiving and say, you motherfuckers, y'all putting on this, you know, and high side on them because you watch 2 Bobby Hemmett videos, and now you own it. It is heavy as the crown. It's a responsibility. And so some of us are the first ones in our family to do certain things. You might be the first sibling to have a lasting relationship. Might be the first one to break a cycle of certain habits or things of that nature. You know, sometimes those little things that seem like it's just you, those are indicators that you are a Christ figure in your bloodline. And sometimes things will be situated so that you can fulfill destiny. And it's very interesting because the word destiny is a Saturnian word. You know, you got Saturn in the 7th house. Saturn is associated with destiny. But yeah, you know, my grandmother is 90 years old, and if I don't get a cosign from anybody, to get the cosign from her is a 90-year-old woman. My mother showed her my picture, my headshot I had taken from my website. And my mama texted me and she said, he's shining. And she said, well, what you mean by that, mama? She said, you can see God in him. And I ain't trying to say this to be on I'm not, if people who, y'all know by now, I ain't my get down, no worship me type, but, this is coming from a 90-year-old woman, that to me, that was some heavy shit.
No doubt.
And I just bring that up because I think many of us have incarnated at this time because we are very, very, very old. And we came back to not be assholes and whatever else the fuck you want to call it, whatever spirituality has been reduced to now, but it's a responsibility. What's another Saturnian word? And I feel like that is what the situation with you, my brother. I feel like that is the overarching theme of it.
Yes, and I think when you told me all of that, I really had to sit back and digest that and look at everything that's going on in my life currently, these downloads that I had or have, and what do they really mean? And what I'm getting is, keep stepping in the direction you're going in. Keep doing, as we say, the work, because there's a benefit for it. But I just have to stay true to it and stay on the path of it. And that's what I've really been working on mentally, because I can get off track quick. And I've been really working on arresting negative, thoughts, responding negatively to things, and definitely just trying to be the best me I can be, and doing it wholeheartedly. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do, man. Um, being consistent with working out, being consistent with eating well, being consistent in my home life. Yeah, just all of it, man. And then to get this information was just like the push to, you know what I mean, to stay focused and keep going and see what's on the other side. And you know, and it's happening to what you said about um our we're being possibly, you know, quote unquote Christ figures or what have you. Um I started thinking about the death that's now I know a lot of it is promoted that it's the quote unquote black on black crime. But I had a thought that what if what was happening was a cleansing and those that are left are gonna be the strong mental ones to bring forth the real change. Now, you know, there's a lot of young people that get knocked off and you know that you know pass away in those situations and you know, but I sometimes I just had a thought like it might be a cleansing, and sometimes what we think is like a negative because we don't have the full understanding of what created us. In my opinion, um, it could be its way of clearing the road for those who's gonna need to walk the path.
Yeah. Yeah, we study what we know to know what we um is beyond our knowing.
Yeah.
And we were granted these vessels, um, not to trash them, but to study how they work. Because the zodiac is called Adam Cadman, the Grand Man, and it was designed so that we could study the grand man by studying the individual man. And we have organs designed for elimination. And so elimination is a very key part of sustaining our health. You know, elimination removes toxins. Same thing this book is saying about there are times for just plucking weeds to prepare the way for the crops to grow. You know, um, so it's an amazing thing. You know, if you want to, and this is just a sidebar, if you are looking to further enhance your divination or manifestation, agriculture, study agriculture. Get the next thing I'm gonna purchase is me a farmer's almanac, and for all purposes, even for the most mundane of just growing food.
Yo, it's funny. I think my wife has one. I think she bought one.
Hmm. But it's also, these are tools for magic. Everything is everything. because you don't just plant food, you plant ideas. Something else I meant to say too about dealing with your uncle is that Sagittarius aligns with the Hebrew letter Shin. Um, and what's interesting is that Shin is the same as the word sin. So sin would be the centrifugal counterclockwise movement. Shin, Shin, would be the centripetal clockwise movement. And so it is as if there was a solution, centrifugal sin, left hand spin, or the transition of your uncle to support your centripetal right hand shin coagulating spin of your existence. Hope that makes sense.
Can you go in a little more?
Yeah, just linguistically in Hebrew, sin is the same as shin. Sin is the same as shin. So when Adam and Eve eat the apple in the mythology, they commit the first sin. What it means is they move, because Eden is called flat, is referred, one of the meanings of Eden is flat land. So flat land is also flat line. That means they're in perfection. There is no movement.
Okay.
So sin starts the movement, the spiral down, or what's called involution. They become involved. Okay. So that there could be a gnosis. But just as there is an involution, there is an evolution, which is the opposite direction. So sin would be left hand, and shin would be right hand. And it's funny because you said your uncle was ambidextrous.
Right.
So I'm interpreting that as he serving as the solution. Solution, when you look at the Baphomet and he's got one hand up, it says solve, other hand down, coagula. That's what that is. One dissolves or breaks apart, the opposite brings together. So he possibly acted as the sacrifice to support your bringing together, or mending, or making something fit. Planet fitness. Yeah, that was just something else that yeah.
Wow. That's intriguing. Yeah. I don't know, man. This is just a this is just a moment of like hearing all this information. It's a little much, bro, to be honest with you. You know, like the way everything is tied in. It's like yo, you just gotta sit back and like it's a lot to digest.
Mhm.
It's a lot to digest, and just keep moving forward.
Here's the flip. Here's the irony. The world is full of ironies. The great irony is that our reality is really built on constantly imbuing us with the feeling of we ain't shit. That's why social media is so important, because we live in such a you ain't shit world that it naturally propels people to want to convince others that I am something. I am something of substance, you know. But here's the irony. What happens when you really, really, really discover that you are special? And it's not the superficial shit. It's not the preparing yourself to get on YouTube to have your ego fed, or Instagram or TikTok. But what about those moments when the clarity comes that you really are, and it's like, fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, no, you really are. Like now, like my uncle used to say, see, I'm a Sagittarius rising, so I always got the big ideas. My uncle's a Capricorn sun, or he was for a transition. And he would say, all right, so what's your plan? You know what I'm saying? Or he'll come back and say, all right, after you make all this money, what you gonna do with it?
Right.
You know, what the fuck did I even bring? How did I get here? You remind me what I?
Uh, you said the world is full of irony.
Oh, yeah, but why did I? How did I get to him?
I think
Oh
you
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Because he said, "What's your plan?" So it's like, yeah, what do we do once we discover we really are special? That was my reason for bringing that up. You know what I'm saying?
hmm Yeah, it's deep reflection time. To really see what what are you supposed to be doing? Because I can compartmentalize and like just take information. Is it do I share it? What do I do? Like yeah, I talk to my parents. I talk to my mom, my dad, my brother, my wife, my kids. Like does it stop there? I mean, me and you share information. We share information on this podcast. So who else knows who it's touching? But um, but sometimes it's like, man, like and that's I had a struggle with what did I want to do when I was coming up. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I don't sound weird on your end, do
Nah, sound
I? Okay, because
cool to me. How it's coming through for y'all on Daps end?
I just keep hearing the feedback, and I don't know. I'm just trying to make sure it
Oh
ain't.
yeah.
Trying to make sure it's not.
I don't know if it's from my end or what. Are y'all hearing feedback?
Oh yeah, okay. I don't know. It might have been my setup because now I sound way clearer than I did before. It might have been me. I still kind of hear, but I hear me better though than I in than a different way I had it set up. Um, but yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and um, so I that's why when I had my children with me, I was trying to see what they wanted to do to head them in that direction. As they were getting older, so they could kind of maybe have a through line from graduation from high school to possibly going to college or whatever. And but now when I look back, I was like a serial daydreamer, and I just wanted to I just wanted to know what was going on around me. And at the time I didn't know how to quantify that into school, I don't think. But yeah, I never found like that thing. So it was just like, but I like information and I like learning and I like history. So even to this day, I do the music, but like I'm kind of just all over the place. Um, as far as like what I'm into, I don't, I'm kind of into everything. Just generally speaking. But
Mhm.
yeah, Flex, I'm not sure what my moon is. So
That's the value of knowing um your chart and sitting with it. You know, keep going over it over and over and over, and it'll keep revealing things. You know, um, let me see if I'm trying to see if I got that chart in here somewhere.
I'm trying to think who I heard. I think I heard Bobby Hemmett say at one time. He was like, some kids they just want to skip to be an adult. Like, they don't even want to be in school. They school is boring to them. They just want to get straight to being an adult. I'm not sure if he said that or not, but it felt like I heard that from him. I would be in classes gone. Like I did what I needed to do to, move on, but I could have really been a good student if I put my head into it.
Yes, wise feminine, I would imagine. But yeah, it's sometimes it's sometimes it's the institution that we're in. It's sometimes it's not. It's there's a theory in sociology called the theory of self-concept. Um, Sometimes if a child is convinced early that it's a genius, it will aspire towards such. And in some situations, this is why it's so important to infuse as best as we can confidence in the children early. Because once something gets shut off or child might be turned off about certain experiences, it can, we don't know what potential could be interrupted, and the way And what we have to realize is that what school is now, and I'm gonna plug my book, The Lies Behind the Times. I probably should have gave it a better title than that because it's misleading. It ain't just about times. It's a metaphysical, historical book, but it shows how this thing came about to where we got school where we have it today. It was an extension of the prison system. It was an extension of capitalism. The school, the economic system, the penal system, the religion, they're all cousins. And they were set up to snuff out light, not to promote it. And so if a child sits down and you can see their chart early, then you could tailor an educational program to them. Because where Neptune is, our generation is a generation of daydreamers, first and foremost, because we have Neptune in Sagittarius. My youngest children, they're a generation of daydreamers. Neptune in Pisces, that's even worse. But let's combine these two. Neptune breaking down, dissolving, solving, water, pool, beyond, no boundaries. In the sign of Sagittarius, way away, long distance travel, the big truth. Okay? In the house of consciousness or proprioception, I want to touch everything. So and Neptune is retrograde. So that's more of an internal process going on where it's hard for me it could be more difficult to lock in on one thing because there's so much dissolving energy going on. So this child would likely need to have the right brain strongly stimulated. A wise feminist says there's a little feedback. I wonder if it's causing me. I don't know.
Yeah, there's feedback when you talk.
When I talk?
Yeah.
What about that?
That sounds better. And yeah, that sounds good. I can still hear myself a little bit, but yeah. I don't know if they can hear that. I don't know if it's just me and you that I can hear me. I don't know. I don't think they can. I'm not sure, but
one thing to consider when we look at our charts is Mercury is going to pretty much deal with our senses. Smell, touch, taste, seeing, hearing, Mercury. Venus is going to deal with the pleasures associated with those senses. So the moon is going to deal with how you're emotionally fed. So I think Flex said something about that about the moon um, earlier. Your moon is in Libra.
Moon in Libra.
Yeah. So, and Libra's in the 10th house. So that's the house of status or how you show up in the world. I also career. So Libran things are harmony, balance, judgment. But Venus is the dispositor of Libra, so Venus is in Virgo, and it's in its fall, or it's in its it's in its fall in Virgo. In the 9th house, squaring Neptune in the 12th. I think we talked about this already before, but this is major. Because if there's this feeling of not locking in, that is challenged by the fact that Virgo is in its fall. The Venus is in its fall in Virgo. So faith, higher truth. This asks the question of what's your higher truth?
Yeah. That's that path of right now. And with the moon being in Libra, I don't like I'm not really big on being combative. When you say the harmony thing, when I look at growing up, I probably can count on a hand and maybe a half how many fights I've had in relationships I've been in. I'm not the argumentative type. Like I'm always seeking like I don't want to beef. You know what I mean? Like if we could figure it out, let's figure it out. But like I don't want that in my life. So that's what that moon in Libra made me think about. I do seek harmony, and I do like harmony.
But that harmony is impacted by Venus placement in Virgo. I think you said that. You said, what did you say the other day? My thing is I want to know the truth.
Oh yeah, unadulterated truth.
But there it goes.
Yeah.
I think you found that's your order. If you say I've had trouble locking in on what, I can't remember how you said it. How'd you say it?
Like my straight line. But that if what you're about to say is what I think you're gonna say, unadulterated truth is my straight line.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really just looking for looking for the cleanest information to understand what's going on around us. Because I feel like people have pieces to the puzzle or their thoughts and ideas or theory or a download or however the universe works through people outside of ourselves. And I think so when I'm digging in information, I can look in I can peek my head in a bunch of rooms to see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to make sure as well as I can that whoever I'm listening to, you're dealing in truth. So that's why it's like you know, that's why I always say when you're reading a book, you're hoping that the book that you're reading, that the person who wrote it is dealing in truth, that they're being honest in what they're writing about. Because I know there can be some stuff put out there, to discredit others who are putting truth out there. But so that's my whole thing, like with the reading. Like hopefully this person is dealing in truth, because it's like we said before, a lot of people are looking for confirmation bias information, and when you're looking for an unadulterated truth, especially the further we go back, you want to just make sure that person is being honest. So when you share the information, but I think that's also where your intuitiveness kicks in when reading something or dealing with someone. I think that's a real thing. And I think the key for me, and this is kind of getting off, not off subject, but just a sidebar of what I'm talking about. Like I had this thought, like if you get, and I think I told you this before, if you be at the most pristine place you can be with your mind and body, you'll be able to tap into what I'm talking about. Meaning you're in the best health you can be in. You're eating as good as you can eat. And this is just for me. I'm not saying this is for everybody, but this is what I got for me to do, to see if I could be at the highest state to receive information. And that's what I was told to do. And then I fought that, because I have trouble with me being great.
Mm. Mm.
And that stems from just youth stuff, being picked on about my ears, being picked on about my lips. I tell people my self-esteem didn't really kick in, honestly, till I was like 21. You know what I'm saying? So I had a lot of things to work through. And this is why even to this day, I don't like accolades. So, oh, you did a good job. I'm like, okay, cool. I want you to hurry up and get done with it so we can move on. But, I'm not really, big into self-promotion of, I hear some people, I'm the illest producer out. Like, I'm not going to do that. When I was rapping, I was never even though I took after, I used to call myself Baby Chris, as in KRS-One, because that was probably like my first favorite rapper was Run, from Run DMC. And then KRS. And when I started rapping, I wanted to be KRS. That's why my name was Money Rhyme Teacher, because I was a real big KRS fan. One of his monikers was the teacher. So, but even in rapping, I never was like, I always wanted to kick knowledge, the quote unquote knowledge raps, and kind of talk about like real stuff. Now, I have my fun with bars, but when it came down to like a topic and being serious, yeah, I never forget this one time, and I'll let you bid. We was working on a song, and it was called Creep, but it was supposed to be like creeping, like creeping with a chick. And I remember I wrote a verse, and my verse wasn't talking about, effing women and all of that. I tried to write a knowledge version of that, and my peoples was like, "Come on, you got to write something harder than that." And that's when I knew I was different, because I wasn't comfortable writing like that if I wasn't doing that. Like I wasn't out here smashing joints like that. So I'm not about to rap about smashing joints and creeping with a joint when that ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't me. And that's when I knew I was like, okay, it's different. And I was like, everybody's rapping like that. If I came with a different angle, I thought that made sense. But the verse needed to be a little more vile, I would just say. And I didn't want to write that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. That's going all over the place, but yeah.
So, mm-hmm.
Now, I was going to say, so ultimately, I'm just now in my mid 40s getting to where I feel like I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And having some comfortability.
So, yeah, you said a lot. You said a lot. Mm. It kind of sounds like your childhood experiences shaped your idea of what confidence is.
Yeah.
And so,
yes.
So I'm hearing like two things. I'm hearing one, like it put maybe a distaste in my mouth for confidence, but then I'm working my way through that, and I've gotten to a point to accept or to develop confidence.
Yeah, and I think also with that, now that I understand what the ego is, with that coming in, I don't think it's gonna, like, I'm not gonna be egotistical about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can just take it and be okay. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's like you remind me of this stuff my cousins say, and it's funny. It's funny that both of y'all are Leo sons, and I'm an Aquarius son, and it almost seems opposite because I feel like for me, growing up in my environment, and I think for a lot of us, mine was being ridiculed for being considered quote unquote smart or studious. And I had to rely on my ego. Or my sense of identity. Because if I didn't, I would have allowed my surroundings to mold me into what they thought I should be. You know, and I think with the sun in Aquarius, and it's so far away from its home, maybe it creates this me against the world mentality. And I think what happens is whether it's I alter my idea of what confidence is, and I create this mental picture that it's maybe something that's disdainful, or on the other end, it's um, fuck all of y'all. I'm better than y'all, motherfuckers.
Right.
It is. We develop protective mechanisms, I think, to respond to the world around us, or our environments. You know, and I think it's when we go through the quote unquote midlife crisis, it seems to be an opportunity to balance the scales.
Mm.
You know, um, I carried a chip on my shoulder for a long time. And when I got to a point of success, I don't think I was quite prepared for it because that chip was still there. You know, that childhood stays with you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and mine was, well, we won't get into that part as far as this way.
Hey, I got a quick question about your setup. When on your computer, if you go to like where your speaker thing is that switched to whatever you're using? Like I don't know if your mixer is you know how you could click on it and like mine says Focusrite and then it says Realtek Audio for playback.
uh,
It just popped in my mind. Maybe that could maybe that might be something.
yeah, I got input for the USB.
Okay, all right.
What's the wow? What's the? Is it not coming through or
Nah, I was just thinking that might help with the feedback where I could like when I talk, I hear myself.
you still hear it?
Yeah, but yeah. So Flex says, "Is that Libra moon?" He says that Libra moon gotta balance his Leo sun. Then he got Saturn in the 7th, right? Peace, Brianna.
I don't know. What is he? Libra moon got a balance. Libra moon.
I guess he said the Libra moon gotta balance his Leo sun, my Leo sun.
Yeah,
And then he got Saturn in the 7th.
they're sextile. Yeah. Because that's what I was. The thing is, that's your house of doubts. But yeah, I lost my But either way, I'm off my um. Kind of threw me off the.
Yeah, I think you talking about your childhood, but you said you wasn't gonna go in. You wasn't gonna finish going into that. But um, yeah, it.
No, I think I was trying to say the midlife crisis
Crisis.
offers like this balancing. Um, because for me, I had to be humbled back down to just be myself, but still maintain my confidence. I'm never trashing my confidence. I ain't trashing that. But there's a difference between being confident and being boastful.
Right.
And I think that was the medicine for me. And I think it's like something like that midlife crisis. It helps when we survive it and grow through it. It helps balance out the scales to where it sounds like what you're saying. You're developing this healthy. You're allowing confidence to coexist with you. You know, and whereas I'm allowing the sense of being a servant more so to coexist with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But not to be no fucking doormat either, though. You know,
Right.
I get this shit twisted. But I want to back up because Dark Truth asked something. He said, "The gnosis, what started you down the road?" It was because he said the road of using etymology. It's because that's the origin of the words we speak. I like to know. I want to know. I like to get to the core things, and that has been a means for me. I am enamored with words, and we use them. So I'd like to know what they have a better understanding of what they really mean. And that might not be for everybody. That's my thing. So I don't know if that answers your question, but then Flex said your Libra moon got a balance as Leo sun. Yeah, the moon is sextile your sun, but that's not all. It's not that simple. It is what's aspecting those houses that those lights are in. Again, the moon is in Venus's house. So what condition is Venus in? Okay. And Venus is in Mercury's house, and Mercury is at the anaretic degree of Leo. So there's this big transition going on. And Mercury happens to be in the house of doubts, debts. And that explains, just the whole showdown of confidence. It's overcoming doubts, and I think for all of us, and let's go back to Young E sent me this book. Told me about this book, this Kundalini astrology book. This lady said something powerful in there about working backwards through your chart. That if direction and confidence and purpose or things of that nature aren't readily seen, then start with service and working your way back. It will help ignite confidence. It'll help find purpose. It will help direct destiny. I don't know if that makes sense. Sixth service is the sixth house. So I think
I've done service too. Said I've done service also.
What do you mean by you talking about like a job service?
No, like when I was at the mission.
Yes.
Yeah, like serving homeless people food and cooking and having to cook for the building and all that type of stuff. Did that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you also had we talked about, I think we when we did your chart, I think we talked about that. Like, I think there's something there, brother. Because the ninth house wants in Virgo, that's perfection.
Mm-hmm.
You still got feedback?
It's not that kind of yeah, just a little bit. It's not really as bad as it once was, but
It's
it's
coming
something.
from me or coming from when you talk?
When I talk, I hear me. When you talk, I don't hear. It's just like air, and then like when you're not talking, it's fuzzy, and when you talk, it is not fuzzy.
I'm gonna have
But
to
I
go.
know that's how those boom mics are. Like sometimes when you're not talking, it's like you hear some fuzz, but then when you talk, that go away. But when I talk, I can hear me a little bit. Not like real blatant, but it's not enough to where it's overwhelming where I can't like understand what I'm saying. Like now it's gone.
I'm gonna have to listen back on the replay.
But I don't know if anybody else can hear it. I think it just might be me. I don't know if they can hear it. But yeah, like now, like I said, now like I'm comfortable on my skin. I'm comfortable with who I've become. And yeah, like even with doing this podcast, I had a little anxiety. Um, I had anxiety when I did music. Yeah, I used to have to sell myself, like I was telling you, like this is what I asked for. Like that used to be the pep talk I would have with myself before I would go on stage and perform. Like, yo, this is what you wanted, right? This is it. And then I would kind of like get psyched up and then go perform. But I always had this notion in the back of my mind of like I couldn't concentrate on what I was doing because I was thinking about what were other people thinking about my performance
Yeah.
in real time. Like it was weird.
Mm-hmm.
But what I found, and then I learned some tricks. I probably shared this stuff before. Like I would just stare at the back of the room and not look at people's faces. And because I was, depending on if I was on the stage or, nobody knows what you're looking at. They think if you're not looking at them, they know you're looking at something, but they don't know I was looking at the wall at the back of the venue or the bar we was in, whatever. And another key was making sure I knew my rhymes by heart exactly. You know,
I think one of the traps I think I fell in was trying to figure out how to fit into people's groups. You know, humans are communal by nature. Can you hear me?
yes.
Um, and so it's natural to want to fit in. And I have tried, I have tried to adapt to different people's groups and things of that nature, and I just haven't been successful at it. You know, um, And I think the healthy development of confidence has been the confidence to just be myself and take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah, that's why I had to get with the production also. Like I'm really growing into be what you are. What you are, bring it to the world and be okay with it. Because my mind tells me that's the only way you're gonna get change. Like if everybody's doing it, and this is just on the music tip. Like if everybody doing the same thing, we need variety, you know. And so that's why, like with my production, I was just like, just keep doing, just keep progressing and growing in what I'm doing, and it's gonna make sense for someone. It might not, you know, take off in the world, and I don't even at this point, like I'm not even really about that. I'm just about getting these creative thoughts out and putting them out to the world and being okay with being different. I think that was probably a struggle for me also. Um, you know, maybe not being okay with being different
yeah, yeah,
because the world has to put something in a box because and it's like okay, on the flip side you say things need to be in a box for organization purposes, and then you're like, but then when you put me in the box, if I do something that's not in that grouping anymore, then what? So I know we need some type of order, I get it, but I don't think you should be just stuck to that one thing, you know um yeah, I don't think you should be stuck in that box,
the,
or you should be not to cut your wisdom, my bad, but you should just be okay. It should be okay for you to step in other arenas.
yeah. The reality is that we live in high school. Our world has been,
And that's on purpose.
yes, we're living in a perpetual high school. Um, and so it is based on what's popular, is what you
Hmm.
ought to be doing. And I be tripping because it's a lot. You can be thinking that you're doing something that's nouveau on the fringe, but it's just like the article was, from earlier. It's just like they're creating fringe that's actually controlled
Yep.
because it's based on the desire. People want to feel like they want to feel like they're different.
Hmm.
They want to feel unique. Keyword feel versus truly being unique, truly having original thoughts, truly being innovative, truly being pioneering. Those things are contrived now. So if you attempt to do it, then it's like, well, that's it. And that's what we're kind of dealing with. So, uh,
Yeah. It's like I was telling you offline. Everyone is saying what they want to say in private, but you can't say it in public because of capitalism. Because our society is based on people purchasing. So if you're a cashier, if you're a football coach, if you're, you know, a newscaster or whatever, and you say something that's not lined up with the agenda, they're going to get rid of you because you're going to hinder. Oh, no one may want to come here and purchase now because you said something that's, you know, not of the agenda. So our whole society is a facade.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? At least in America, it's a facade. And then you have writers tell people, you know, your sports guys, your CNN people, your Fox News people, you have writers telling them how to spin it. Because a lot of these people, we know these people don't, you know, write what they talk about on TV. They got producers and executive producers and writers and all of that stuff. And they just come out and read off the teleprompter. Or they're allowed to get their opinion in a sense. But yeah, the world is a facade. Yeah. Detroit, the Yak Town, to Dallas. Humble introvert. What's up?
Yo,
I
thank
live
you.
in Pontiac.
Thank you, humble introvert, for the cash out.
Appreciate that, good brother. So, well, yeah, that's you know,
Yep.
that's all I have, man. This whole thing is you know, it's a facade, bro.
Yeah. And
I'll be right back.
okay. Yeah. Now, we're being bombarded. It's like stuff's coming from so many different directions. You got, you know, you can't turn the news on. You can't even. You got to check the weather on your phone. You can't even turn the TV on to check the weather on the news because they got to hit you with the 1-2 punch of the daily fear tactics. Um, but even in the midst of us being in a state of blowing our backs, that has also seemed to become a weapon too. Because if we're constantly talking about what they are doing, what they trying to do, they trying to, you know, and that seems to become just as much of a weapon as turning on the news and they got to tell you every 5 seconds about statistics and this number and cases are up, cases are down, you know. And what I'm seeing is like the last throes of Pisces. Because, you know, Pisces is the big pool. Everything goes into the pool before something, uh, before an identity emerges in the next sign, Aries. But it's like we in this big pool right now, and it's about put something into the water so that everybody can drink it, you know. And so it's I'm gonna keep putting out a million videos about fighting back the resistance, you know. I start even like, you know, our man Ken that we be watching from time to time. I was like, oh man, I had to catch myself, you know, because he's a comical fella, you know. But it's like, you know, if it's in the morning, I don't want to click on this and this guy sitting here talking about what's going on in Australia and how terrible it is. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. After a while, we become part of the play by constantly talking about us resisting. You know? At some point, it's just got to be you. Be what you is. Be what you're gonna be, and um, keep it moving. You know.
Right.
You know, I went to my daughter's volleyball game today, and the way things are going, it makes you second guess everything. Like, man, what's the point of even just? What's the point of even, you know, talking to her about next off season? We're gonna work on your fast twitch muscles. Like, there might not never be another volleyball season, and it's like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. That's the play. That's the play. You know, to get your mind to lock on to a certain reality. Pisces, you know, Neptune in Pisces at that, you know, so that means if one of us thinks something, the boundaries between us are so thin, we're literally in the pool. So if I piss in the water, there's a chance that some urine's going to get on you. You know, so if I take on this certain thought pattern,
Mm-hmm.
that becomes the contagion.
Yeah. Yes. And you know, what made me think about what I said earlier was I was watching Speak for Yourself, and they were talking about Kyrie Irving not wanting to take the vaccine, not being vaccinated, whole diatribe. And my thought was they kept saying he his research wasn't valid. And what it made me think about was, you know, these guys, and I know they talking heads, and we don't know what they know for real. But what we do understand is we in the age of information. And if our parents, maybe our parents didn't know to ask, maybe they just went with what was going on. We gotta think of the time we was born, the age our mothers was born. I mean, the ages our parents were when they had us, and what was their thought. Like my mom, she had me when she was 19. Like, was she thinking about my shots being causing, some type of disease in me, or some attention deficit, or you know, uh anything like that when I was born? You know what I mean? It was just like, yo, you have a baby, you get these shots. I'm not gonna say there wasn't any parents that might have questioned shots and what's in them. But for these people to say, well, because the comeback is, well, you don't know what's in anything and you don't question that. No, we do question stuff. Like people been questioning everything. I've been questioning what's in preservatives that make a can good for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you hear these people and it's like, everybody just take the white coat's word as bond. And now we're in the age where we're doing our own research now. And now you're questioned even if you're doing your research because you don't have a few letters behind your name. No one wants to take you serious. If you can't provide a peer review, or you have some primary sources, some things you might just get. You could be talking to someone and they talking to you about a subject you don't know about, and then you may get a download and respond to them in that conversation, and it's something that they didn't know. And that just came from a download from you just listening to them and your mind flowing, and then boom, you get something to share with them. And they like, yo, I didn't even think of that. And you don't even know about the subject they talking about. And I think it circles back to what you're saying. And you've been saying this a little bit too about, yeah, this is school. And they don't want us tapping into our true ability to think. It's just groupthink. And then they got mouthpieces to push it. I heard Stephen A. Smith say, I don't debate for free. I get paid to debate. He had somebody in the street was talking to him and they wanted to, they was going back and forth with him for some. He said, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't debate for free. I do that. I get paid to debate on TV. I don't do that in the public. And that just told me that just it's a sham, and now the sham is starting to be shown. People are admitting, people unwittingly are admitting the sham.
But is it possible that this athlete is part of the grand scheme to keep the I'm talking about the conversation period is part of the grand scheme to keep the conversation going no matter what side you're on.
I think that's in everything. Yeah. That could be, that's definitely possible. And yeah, that could be the play for a lot of different things. And so then it circles back to, I think you said this, build your own world. And then you have to be okay with living in that world you build.
When we go to Costco and I sit in the parking lot and watch the people, and these are supposedly your more middle class or upward mobile of society.
Mm-hmm.
When I go to Walmart and I see what may be classified as your common blue collar service
They some of the worst.
people at Walmart, there's the same behavior.
Yep.
When we drop our children off at school, we park over to the side because I don't like people all up on my ass, rushing. I let them just go ahead and. So the point is this: people don't give a fuck about other people. I've watched people get out. Somebody put a buggy behind their car. Instead of them putting the buggy up, they move it over just enough so they can back out the spot. Buggy rolls over and hits the car next to them. That person comes out, moves it just enough so they can. I've watched this shit. So the thing is, all this talk about we, don't nobody give a fuck about nobody else. If this shit come down to where there's a food shortage, motherfuckers are gonna be chopping each other's heads off in the street because there ain't no we. And so I think part of the conversation is I think that's part of the play. Keep the conversation going, you know, because once again, there is very little conversation about personal development, you know, cultivation, whether it's of crops or yourself or none of that shit. I don't know, man. Brianna said, motherfuckers better know how to fish and hunt.
Indeed. So coming out of tragedy and hope, I read this the other day. Now, this is talking about Europe's shift to the 20th century. But Europe believed that humanity, left to their own vices, would be savages, and they needed, like we needed, uh, like a socialist type society to function. And it just made me think about what you said about nobody caring about anybody. It says, one, that the human abilities are innate and can only be distorted or suppressed by social discipline. And two, that each individual is the best judge of his own self interest. All these together form the doctrine of the community of interest, a doctrine which maintained that if each individual does what seems best for himself, the result in the long run will be best for society as a whole.
Community of interest. That's Aquarius.
It says, okay, the theory of community interest believed that there did exist a possible social pattern in which each member of society will be secure, free, and prosperous, and that this pattern could be achieved by a process of adjustment so that each person could fall into the place in the pattern to which his innate abilities entitled him. And then it went into what I read before. So could we be so what would society look like? What it tells me is what you just said. Even though we have all of these laws and and self, well, not to an extent self governance, but governance and all of this, we still at the core could be bugged out and shot out, even within this social structure. It still come back to you.
I want to say something, and then I'll be done. Something I've said a million times. There are no freedom fighters. There is no more of brother so and so is out here stomping and fighting for us. Wherever that is promoted, that is capitalism.
Oh, speaking of that.
Because that is based on the idea that we are still, or society in its different pockets, is still obsessed with the Piscean idea of a savior. And so, if the society still desires that, you market it to them to feed that, give them that dopamine rush, that so and so is going to be the sacrificial lamb for me and us. And in 1966, when the Black Panther Party was created, let's just use this as an example. Gene Roddenberry came out with Star Trek, to boldly go where no man had gone before. And that was part of, I think, was by design, so that this model would be created where people will always long to go back to this. man, the Panthers, they did this and they had lunch programs and such, and they stood up to the pigs and da 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 da. They went up to the state capitol and
Right.
you know, um, and so it was created to create this mythology that certain segment would always look back to. We are still seeing residue of that now. This idea of, you hear people say, I'm out of Facebook jail, I'm out of YouTube jail, this and that, because my channel got shut down for telling the truth. So the play is, if I get shut down, then that's promotion for my Patreon.
Yep.
Okay. And so everything's capitalism.
Yes.
There are no martyrs. Everything's contrived.
That's what history is starting to reveal. I think the only time that you had real freedom fighters or what have you was when society was in this infant style stage and people were trying to overtake other people. After that, it became contrived. It became made up. It became, we're going to put this person here. And it hasn't been the same since. Now you can't trust anything to an extent.
If you pay attention online, there's a great desperation right now. There's a great desperation. We've seen it. We've talked about it. And what it is fear is a powerful tool that has been used against the common man. And now the common man is using the fear model to try to encourage his fellow common man to provide resources for him.
Mhm.
If you get enough influence, big enough following, then you can sell scarcity, you can sell fear, and try to procure you some resources so that you and your family can be okay. Fuck the rest of them.
Yeah.
How many motherfucking seminars can
In this day and age, like in this time,
you better come on and do it now? The catchphrase on the internet now is winter is coming.
we in the Jason months.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, individualism, everybody.
It's the only way.
Protect you, lock in. And rugged individualism. Hardcore. Get your house in order as best as you can. And that's it. Lock into that. Because, like he said, everything outside of yourself is trying to get your fiat. So, build up your body, your mental, your spirit. And like I said earlier in the podcast, I think people are being taken out of here, and who's going to be left is going to be who's supposed to be left. And I think the people that's going to be left will have understanding, and I think that's when you'll see a societal shift. because you're gonna have thinkers left. The thinkers aren't getting taken out. They're not being taken out. So when you take everything else away and you have thinkers left, you're gonna get common sense at the table. That's my download. Then we'll be able to sit and talk with some common sense, and you know what I mean, versus what we have now. So that's for everybody. You know, that's for every nationality. That's for everybody. Then we're gonna see who left. And then when we see who's left, and not to say who's left don't have protectionism in them, if that's a word, and it's not, but I just made it up on the spot. And somebody said you was drinking a jug of alkaline water earlier, and I thought that was hilarious. Dark Truth said that, I think. Oh no, the other guy. I forget his name, 2300 or something, I think he said. But yeah, and not to say like those who are left aren't gonna have, a defense mechanism because we are, but we're first gonna try to come to the table with common sense. And that's what I feel like that's what you're gonna have left. People with common sense. And that may straighten society. And as you said, people are waiting, for us to come back online, and maybe that's what it is. Got to get rid of, got to till the land, plant the seed, and then we'll be ready. Don't know when that is, but but we'll be ready.
Yeah. Agree. Well, audience has grown quiet on us. I don't know.
Well, we at 212. It's a good build.
Yeah. I think I've said all I need to say.
Likewise.
Kind of just jumping all around here. But we appreciate y'all tuning in.
You want to plug your website one more again?
Yeah, if you all get a chance, go check out 720astrology.com. 720astrology.com. That's my new website. And yeah, that's where I've got all types of different readings available to help in self-discovery, healing, how to position your children to develop into the very best they can be. We have.
Will your YouTube channel have the same name or a different name? Your new YouTube channel.
The new channel is gonna be 720 Astrology.
Okay.
Okay. A quick share right here. Gonna wrap this up.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I call it 720 is that a sphere or a circle is 360 degrees, and normally a lot of times when I start a reading, I'll start with the person's moon sign, because the moon talks about how they are emotionally fed, so forth. The moon coincides with the breast, which are the two divine circles that we receive knowledge from. So 720 is paying homage to the moon and to the divine feminine energy. But got all types of readings. Basic birth chart reading. Have a transit follow-up reading. If you've had a birth chart reading and you want to come back and see how the transits are affecting you currently and they are aspecting different points in your chart. That's what a transit follow-up reading is. There's the Know Your Child reading. What is my child's life purpose? What career may be best suited for my child? What are the major challenges facing my child? How can I be a better service to my child's total evolution? The types of questions tackle in there. Couples reading. Healthy relationships produce healthy realities. Astrology parties. Do those. It's a very cost-effective way to get an introduction to having a reading. And then there's the 720 reading. That's the big dog. That's the one where I think that was Dark Truth asked about the etymology. This one really shows how they all fit in. It's numerology, etymology, and astrology all put together to paint a very wide scope reading. And I'm gonna do a video, and let me stop this share. I don't want to bore y'all to death, but I'm gonna do a video and soon, just kind of introducing the website. But I want y'all to read some of these reviews. And there's a young lady on there who's got a review about the 720. You can see the review about the parties. The party with 7 women, and they were really thrilled. But either way, it's I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. 1 minute saying we're talking about the capitalism and people capitalizing on tragedy and fear. It is not to suggest that we supposed to stop and not have businesses and not make money and not offer services. What I am against, though, is selling fear
And being scammed.
and scamming. I stand vehemently against that, and I take pride in people who've done business with masters of the cosmos. Get their items delivered on time, a nice thank you note in the box. Try to do things with some class. So, and that's the end of that. So I just want to clarify that so I don't appear as no hypocrite. Like shit, we all gotta do what we gotta do. But I think at the end of the day, there's a way to maintain your integrity. That's all I got.
Facts. All right. Perfect.
Well, all minds are clear. We appreciate y'all tuning in, and we're gonna try to come back and do this thing again next week. Till then, y'all stay up.
Peace.
Say peace.